All right, guys, this one could not be more simple. We are going to make a paper moon out of styrofoam, newspaper, and paper clay. So gather your supplies and let's get creative. So we're going to start with our foam round. This is a floral piece, I believe. I got this in the floral district at a store called Mossy, which I believe is owned by Michael's. It's just a giant warehouse of craft supplies, and mostly floral supplies. So you may not be able to find like this exact one in size, but you should be able to find something similar in your floral section of your local craft store or in a floral specialty shop. I'm using my precious copper pots to kind of create an outline and cut around that edge. I look kind of like a serial killer here, but just cut out that shape until it pops out. And then you can go ahead and shave off some of those rough edges on the front side. This isn't crucial. You can skip this step, but I think it creates more of like a rounded bevel shape and makes everything kind of come together a little bit more seamlessly. Once you have it to the shape and size you want, we're going to grab some newspaper and just kind of, I don't know, we're sculpting with the newspaper, so you can't really go wrong. This is kind of an intuitive process, but if you need to add more or take away, obviously it's easy to do that, and you'll just use masking tape to, stick it on. Obviously, the middle part is going to need a little bit more newspaper, and just feel it out. It's sculpting. That's what it is. And I actually covered this entire thing with masking tape. So I went around once just to kind of get a rough shape, and then I went back around and made sure it was like 98% completely covered. I don't know why I did that. I just felt like this would have a better base for the paper mache to stick to. Go ahead and clean up your area. There's a lot of mess here, and this is going to be a sticky process next, so you don't want little pieces to be there to get caught up in everything. I've made this paper mache paste. It's 4 cups of cold water, 1 cup of flour, and you dissolve that together, and then boil 5 cups of water and add your initial paste mixture to that. So in total, it's 9 cups of water, 1 cup of flour, and you just cook it on the stove until it thickens and then let it cool. Mine actually took quite a while to cool. And I just cut newspaper into about like 1 to 2 inch strips, and obviously the rest is kind of self-explanatory. You're just going to lay them on, sculpt it out until you have a couple of good solid layers. This should take probably a day to dry, so the next day you are going to go in with your paper clay. I've used Creative brand paper clay for years, and I actually haven't really tried any other one, so this is my experience, but I've never had a problem with this clay. I think it's a really good quality paper clay. So I am just rolling this out to, I don't know, maybe this is like 1/8 of an inch thick, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go in with a little bit of water and smooth everything out. So just make sure it's kind of evenly covered everywhere. And you can break it up in pieces like I'm doing and just kind of puzzle it all together. As you can see now, I'm going in and starting to smooth out those seams and blend everything together. And this way I can get an idea of where else I need to add some clay. And so once you have everything covered, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can definitely make the surface as smooth as possible, but the moon isn't smooth. So I think the texture lends itself to the real texture of the moon. So it's a little bit more realistic. I'm just adding little discs of clay and kind of smoothing the edges down, and then I go in with my finger once all the outer edges are blended and create a divot or a crater. And this also, you don't want to be perfect. So kind of get your nail in there in some areas. Don't go too crazy, but it shouldn't just be a perfect bowl. I'm using my nail to make some texture on the inside. You won't need to do this all over the moon. Just a couple of bigger craters will do, and then you can go in with the back of a paintbrush or, something similar and start to create a stippling effect just to add some texture, and then every once in a while create a deeper divot, and that will look like a smaller crater. I'm also making some cute little mushrooms for this moon, and so I'm using wooden dowels. These are also found at the craft store or hardware stores, although I think the very small ones are not usually at the hardware stores. So Michael's or Joanne should have these. And I'm taking a little bit of paper clay and just kind of sculpting it into a mushroom shape. Then dip the end of one of those wood dowels in water, and this will help the clay stick to it a little bit better. Then I'm taking the back of my paintbrush and I'm going to go in and create a little bit of that texture on the bottom. I don't know what that texture is. I can't think of the name. It's not pleated. I guess it is kind of pleated, ribbed. I don't know. The mushroom texture, And because my paintbrush is a little bit thick, I am just overlapping layers. If you're a perfectionist, you can obviously spend more time on this, but I wanted to make just simple little mushrooms. So you're going to wait one more day for all of your clay to dry, and by this time everything should be very firm and hard. You can knock on that moon and it's just got like a nice solid texture. So I am poking holes into the dried clay and kind of figuring out where I want to put my mushrooms. I put 3 on the bottom and then 1 growing out of the top. And once they are securely in place and I kind of have like the different levels, I can take my hot glue gun, fill in those holes and stick them back in, and they're secure. It's pretty easy. This is like a very simple embellishment for the moon. I'm painting this all over with a bit of off-white and a touch of very light yellow. Martha Stewart has a paint that you can see at the beginning I've run out. It's called Summer Linen. I don't know if she still makes this color. That was actually very old, but it's kind of like the perfect color for a moon. So I just mixed some, I can't talk. I mixed some paint colors that I had to match the Martha Stewart Summer Linen paint color. And then I know everybody loves the toadstool mushrooms, but I just feel like the gray mushrooms are being overlooked. So I am painting my mushroom with like kind of I think actually this color is cement, but I added like little streaks of black and a little bit of white and speckled, and so they look a little bit more realistic. I am going to add some moss. This is also from Mossy. You can get this at any craft store. Someone commented on one of my TikTok videos and said, that's not moss, it's lichen, which is right. I had to look it up later and she was correct. But like that was all she said. And the video was very sentimental and it was about a hot glue gun and not really the moss at all. I just think people on the internet are very, very strange and kind of rude. But she was right. It's lichen. Although this is, if you buy this at the craft store, it's labeled as moss. So if you're not a botanist, like I am not a botanist, go look for what is labeled as moss at the craft store. And I'm just using my hot glue gun to kind of put it around the mushrooms first. And then I am going to add it in a couple of other areas on the moon. I feel like I get heavy-handed with details like this, so I might have actually gone a little light on this one. You guys have to tell me if you think it needs more moss, because that's an easy fix. I can always add more moss or lichen. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was easy enough. And if you guys make this, please show me. If you're on social media, tag me in your finished product posts. I'm on TikTok at Brooke Darwin, and it's Brooke Darwin on Instagram. Have a very spooky week. I will see you guys next time.